prima dată, eu cred că noi ne întâlnim într-așa o componență. Pentru mine este un lucru foarte frumos și eu chiar cred că puteți să aplaudați acest lucru, vă rog. De ce eu zic? Pentru că prin mulți din cei care sunt aici aș putea să-i numesc concurenți, mulți ar putea să mă numească pe mine concurent, dar totuși noi suntem împreună aici. Și pe mine asta foarte mult mă bucură. Al doilea lucru care vreau să-l rog e să ridicați mâna cei care pot urmări filme în engleză fără subtitrare. Vă rog frumos. Așa, cei care nu pot, notați, vă rog, cine a ridicat mâna, faceți cunoștință cu ei și în momentul când n-ați înțelegeți ceva, puteți să vă adresați la dâns și să vă ajut. Ok? Pentru că evenimentul de astăzi va fi în limba engleză, pentru că majoritatea din cei care au venit la acest eveniment astăzi sunt din Statele Unite. Respectiv, este vorba despre posibilitatea de a colabora cu companiile din Statele Unite. Eu mă bucur că foarte multă lume se descurcă în engleză. So we now officially switch to English as we have sorted the translators issue. And I would like to begin by telling you who made this event possible today. First of all, it's USAID. You can really applaud this team, please. These guys need no introduction. They were instrumental to the transformation of several sectors in Moldova, including wine, IT, tourism, and textiles. And now I'm really happy that they have started working on the creative sector. And it's not only the money that they contribute, but more the ideas that they support and inject into the sector. Also, one of the organizations that supported us is the Embassy of Sweden. Please give a round of applause to them. Speaking of Sweden, one of the biggest companies in Sweden is IKEA. And do you guys know what is the corporate language of IKEA? Maybe you can guess. Who knows? Please don't spoil. Give me ideas, guys. What is the corporate language of IKEA? English? Not really. French? Swedish? Well, the corporate language of IKEA is bad English. Why is it bad English? Because it's the only language that allows a Chinese explain something to a Russian and he would understand. So I suggest that the corporate language of Collider is also bad English, if you don't mind, guys. This way we'll better understand each other. And, of course, RevThink. You don't really see, but there is a RevThink here. And RevThink is another company that made today's event possible, and I'm really happy to have the guys here. And I would like to introduce from RevThink to tell us more about this organization. Tim Thompson, please. Give a round of applause.
So many faces I recognize and see. I was telling somebody at lunch today, I'm so familiar with some of your faces, I feel like it's a second home. So it's good to be back to a second home. I feel like I'm gaining new friendships and just falling in love with another group of people. So thank you for being here, being part of what we're doing. My name is Tim Thompson. I started RevThink about 11 years ago. I started it because I had friends that were owners of creative companies in Los Angeles, and so many of them were struggling with business, finances, production, and there was pieces of it that they couldn't figure out themselves because they were a director or they were a producer, and they had their job to do, which was get things done for a client. So they asked me, can you just come help me? Would you be able to figure out and call the finance person and find out where my money went? Or would you be willing to talk to these new employees and ask them questions and figure out what's going wrong? So I started my business just being a helper. And I fell in love with that part of it. There's a part of me that knows that creative has to win. If we're in a creative world with a creative industry, you can't let business beat the creative. But if the creative doesn't do business, they're out of business. So I myself just wanted to come alongside the creative owners and see what's possible. What can we do and what easy things can we put in place? So at RevThink, next slide there. At RevThink we recognize that there's multiple parts to running a business. We called them the 7 ingredients. The creative is obvious, you're a creative company. And production is just getting that work done. But then these other parts like marketing and sales, finance, operations, and then just being an entrepreneur where it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't sleep because you don't know when the next paycheck's going to come from to pay your payroll. So we try to put in systems and operations to make people's lives easier, to make this thing easier to comprehend, and then allow the creatives to thrive because something else is happening. Well, about 9 months ago, Joel, who works with me, hey Joel. Joel got an email from a woman from Moldova, and he forwarded it to me and he said, "Do you think this is legitimate?" And we started looking at it and we started to figure out who the people were and what they were about. And it was Anna. Anna had reached out from us from Chemonics. And she reached out to just say, to explain what's happening and how the industry is changing, how there's new opportunity, and how through Chemonics and USAID and Sweden, they wanted to see if there's an opportunity to come into this industry and start something new and create new opportunities. So Joel and I came in June. Again, we fell in love with the wine, we fell in love with the country. Many of you were there. It was just wonderful. And I loved it so much. When I got home, I told my wife and I told my friends, we have to go back. We have to go back. The talent there is so amazing. The capabilities and the work that you do here is just so wonderful. And the world needs to see it. So now I've asked my friends, Jim from Turner TV, Nika from Andor, and Rob from Stimulated to join me today so that you can understand the work that we're doing, the kind of things that we like to do and talk about, and then the opportunities for us to work with you and for you to collaborate and give us your creative and work with us. So we conceptualized this idea, I thought about it, I begged Anna to bring us back and allow us to come here, and then I grabbed you, Jen, and said, can you be my partner in this? Can we make this thing happen? And we created Collider. So I'm so thankful you can be part of what we love and the journey we have, and we just want you to be familiar. We want you to be part of our family today. Feel free to ask us questions, be part of what we're talking about. Just know that we're here to meet you, to explore what you have, to share with you what we know, and see whatever comes out of this collision that we're putting together. So thank you all for having us. We look forward to everything we're going to do tonight and for the next many, many years.
Thanks, all right, I should say that there is one more organization that made this event happen today. Actually, there are 2 advertising agencies behind the organization. One is Imago and another one is Publicis. But we have decided together not to put our logos on the covers and everywhere else, but we decided to put this, which is the Creative Industries Association of Moldova. And I have to tell you that one of the important goals of today's meeting is to get you acquainted with this. 8 companies from Moldova came together with the aid of USAID and have created the Creative Industries Association in Moldova. But we didn't do it for ourselves. We did it for every creative entrepreneur in this country. So if you're a creative, if you run a creative business, you should be part of this. At the moment, we just have the name, which is Core. Now you can applaud, please. This name does not have yet a visual identity, and I would invite all the graphic designers or branding specialists that are here to join us to create the graphic identity, the visual identity for Core. It will be as big, if not bigger, than Din Inim. You all know Din Inim and what it did to the textile sector, so it will be a nice addition to your portfolio. So if you're interested to work on the visual identity, please talk to us after the event. But right now, what I want to propose is to beautiful animation here. Okay. Yeah. You have to join now. You can upload this as well. So our colleagues from USAID have the application forms. They will distribute it in the room. And I would kindly ask you during this event or after this event to join the Creative Industries Association in Moldova. At the moment, it's free of charge, isn't it? It is? Joining. Yeah, joining is free of charge, but there is an yearly cotization, and it's not that big. I think it's a couple of thousands a day, something like that. I don't even remember what is the cotization. It's not really about the money, but it's about getting together like we do today and make great things happen. Thank you. Alright, I was supposed to deliver the first part of the presentation, and I would like to start it with a question. Who of you guys knows this frame and the movie it comes from? Raise your hands. Wow, I thought I'm the only nerd in the town knowing this. Can you please say it loud? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. This is by far my favorite anime, and some of you who don't know the movie will probably recognize it when you see this. It's a music video by Wembley Project that was running in '98 on MTV, and this is how I knew Ghost in the Shell. It was so ahead of its time. It was out in 1995, and it raised questions that people begin to discuss only now. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell. As I said, it was a great inspiration to me, and mostly because it was so ahead of its time. It tackled the issues and the questions that we begin to discuss now. The self-awareness of machines, whether machines can have souls, and what happens to those souls when they go in a rebellion against humanity. It was a great movie, it was a great inspiration for me, and I was happy to know that actually in 2017 there was a reboot of this movie, made in Hollywood. That was also called Ghost in the Shell. To be frank, the movie itself has average reviews on IMDb. Many people question whether Scarlett Johansson was the right actor to cast for the role of Major Kusanagi. But what I personally think saved the movie was the 3D and everything, all the visual effects, all the visual effects in the movie. And like every movie that impresses me from the visual point of view, I started looking who did this and who is the person behind these beautiful 3D animations in the movie. I found out who the person is. Unfortunately, the projector doesn't show very well, but I was really surprised by the amount of work and the beauty this person has created. You know, it's not anymore modeling just the outside of something in a movie. Now it's much more modeling the inside as well. So what this artist did, he created all the intricate structures of the robots featured in the movie. And to be frank, if tomorrow the humanity decides to create this kind of robots and has the brain to put inside those robots, we already have the blueprints. So they are really, really complex and really beautiful. As I dug further to see what this artist has created, I've seen that he didn't only do the 3D models for the movie, but he also created the weapons, and he also created the environments. It's really impressive. And when I tried to look, what is the background of this person? How did he achieve to create these beautiful things? I've seen one interesting revelation. You know, today when somebody wants to work at our agency, and I'm sure other agency owners will share this feeling with me, people tend to send CVs. And when they send their CVs, they use this kind of, Illustrator 8 bars out of 10, Photoshop 6 bars out of 10, Microsoft Word 10 bars out of 10, and then they represent the skills they have today. And actually, to me as an agency owner, it doesn't say a thing. What I need to see is a simple picture that you have created. And you know, this is the CV of today. It's not anymore the skills that you have, but what you can create with the tools that you know. So it's the era of being a multidisciplinary creative, but not really as an illustrator specialist or a Photoshop specialist. This guy who created all this is so badass that he actually created his own mecha. Who of you knows what a mecha is? Just raise your hand. The Japanese exoskeleton in which you can enter as a human and then drive it. So this guy has his own mecha, he created it, together with a Japanese company called Hankook Mirai Technology. Who knows who this guy is? Can you raise your hand? I was really shocked to find out that this is Vitaly Bugarov from Moldova. This is, and you can applaud now. Yeah, of course. He is an alumni of Universitatea Tehnică in Moldova. And he also comes from Dubăsari, if I'm not mistaken. I tried to find out more, but I didn't find out more. And you know, it's one of those moments when you sit, you look at that, you see what that guy has accomplished, and you tell yourself, what you have accomplished is nothing. And you don't have excuses to say that, well, yeah, of course, he was raised in the US, he had access to good universities, good education, that's why he succeeded. No, this guy is from Dubăsari. He loves doing robots, and I've seen him sometime before because this is when I track and acted. And it's just amazing that someone from Moldova can become so important and can do such beautiful works. Now, I think this guy is really living his dream at the moment. He does what he loves. He probably earns some good money doing that. He probably has the best projects he can have in the industry. So he's really living his dream. And he's not the only one from Moldova. I know a few more cases, but let's focus on this dream. What does this dream come from? After I've analyzed this a little bit, I've understood that it actually comes from the notion of a dream client. Because we as creatives, that's what we want. We want that dream client. That somebody, well, you know what? Describe me the dream client. What do you think a dream client is? For you as a creative. Give me a few adjectives or a few definitions of a dream client. How should a dream client be?
Open-minded.
Constructive, open-minded, what else? Generous, that's very good. What else?
Invisible.
Trustworthy. Invisible?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Trustful. Well, when I thought about it, I thought that the client should understand what I do. The client should value what I do. The client should value my time. The client should understand that behind each effort there are resources and they need to be paid. The client should understand the industry and how things work in the industry. And you know what? I understood that the best client is actually an agency. Because agencies know the business, agencies know the value of work, agencies know very well what it takes to create beautiful work. And when I start to think, from our perspective, who did we work best with? Yes, some of our best clients are agencies. And I'm happy to tell you that today here at this event, we have 3 agencies from the US joining us. They will tell us what they expect from local partners to work with. And I hope that as a result of this exercise, we'll have projects that we'll accomplish together. And I tell you, welcome to Collider. Yeah, hello. How are you doing? Pretty great. Did you like the lunch today? Did you like the lunch?
I got a full belly, so we might go a little slow.
Okay. That's what we want. In Moldova, we have plenty of TV stations. Not as many owners of TV stations. And we generally have the feeling that it's very difficult to launch a TV station, to run a TV station. And I've worked in a few projects with TV startups. And what they tend to do is they tend to be very safe. And they say, we are not going to launch a niche thing, we will launch a general TV station that a kid could watch, so we'll have some animation there, a grown-up.
I know these stations, I've seen them.
So could you please give us a glimpse to the future? And please give a big round of applause to our next speaker from True TV.
Hi, thanks.
This is Jim Reed. Jim and I have known each other for many years.
This is true.
Probably about 12 years now. And I had the privilege of actually performing Jim's wedding service. I was the minister of
That is also true. He's pretty good.
So we've known each other for many years, and I've watched Jim's career throughout the different places he's been. And now he's in a very important spot of being a creative director at True TV. So when I was thinking about what would be the greatest gift to give you, is to give you some perspective of what the audience is looking for, what the final client is looking for, and Jim is going to be.
There's never a final client.
Before we get too far, we did create a mobile website for you. You probably saw it on the screen earlier. In this mobile site, you'll see that there's a speaker button, and you can read Jim's bio and see his pretty picture and all that. But at the bottom, when you choose his name, if you go to the very bottom, there's actually a link to contact Jim. So when you're listening to any of our speakers today and you have interest in working with them, we want you to just be able to get a hold of them very easily. You hit that button, give us your information, and we'll make sure you get in contact with any of our speakers today. So I'm going to give it to you because I already know you can give a great
Cool.
presentation.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks, you, Jen. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Moldova's been pretty cool so far. So, yes, I work at a TV network. It's part of the Turner family. It's called True TV. We are a comedy network. We haven't always been a comedy network. 2 years ago, we had some very different looking shows on our network. So I've been lucky enough to really change the way that the network looks and go along for that ride. Really, the shows and the kinds of shows and the content comes first, and we simply try and reflect that tone with marketing and design. So anything that's design related, I get to touch on the network, which is really fun. Marketing campaigns for the shows, the channel branding, all that. So I'm much better with pictures and video. So I'll show you guys some stuff. Wrong way. There we go.
That's
Oh,
you.
that's me.
Hey!
Okay, True TV. You're going to see a little bit more about this later, I think, with Nika. Nika, who's also speaking, is an incredible partner, and we've collaborated on some great projects. So she'll probably tell you about that coloring logo a little bit more. Okay, so we do two things. We do work on our brand. True TV is a brand. We do commercials for the brand. We do print for the brand, social and digital, and stunts and weird things. I'm pretty interested in weird things. This stuff is standard and really fun, but I like it when we get to combine things in interesting ways. This is what the old channel looked like. Looks pretty good. Looks like a lot of stuff that was around a couple of years ago. In 2 years, this is what things look like now. It's very different. Starts with the shows. On the brand side, I helped with a brand campaign. There was a print component. Do some of our work internally. We have really great teams. We also partner with really amazing agencies and artists all over. We have an agency that we work with in Boulder, Colorado called WHIP. They helped us develop this campaign. What you're about to see, I think, requires a little bit of context. Frequently, networks like big, shiny, well-produced things with absolutely ridiculous content. I mean, why is that there? What does that have to do with anything? So, we're a comedy network, so we get to make fun of it.
Get ready for new shows and new seasons on True TV.
That's it. That's all you get. All right? That's enough.
So the most fun part of that campaign for me was Wikipedia. You guys know Wikipedia reported Andrew Orfadal dead from the logo falling on top of him. And the internet went crazy. He had lots of people reaching out. They were very sad that he had died. It was great, yeah. He's not dead, he's fine. He was just hurt badly. So that's on the brand side. On the shows side, we create many campaigns and many brands for each show. Each show is very unique. And we want to find just the right way to capture the essence of what the show is and to speak to the right audience. Our audience is primarily 18 to 34-year-olds, and strangely, our content is comedy and a lot of it's really dumb. But our viewership is makes a lot of money. Doesn't make any sense, but that's great. It's good for us. It's good for an ad-supported network. That's how we make money, is to sell ads. On the flip side is the shows. So I'll just jump in and show a couple here. Same stuff. Sometimes we call it multi-platform. That's the fancy word. But we try and think of things as a singular concept or very key concepts related to a specific season of a specific show, and then how do we bring that to life in different ways. So Adam Ruins Everything. In between seasons, there's a break. So we had very little access to Adam, and we wanted to keep interest high. So we created a campaign called Interrupters, where we shot him explaining a few things and ran some animation alongside. I think we did 12 of these, and it ran about halfway in between the break to just keep people excited for him.
Jeff asks, where did the bird thing come from? So Jeff, you've noticed that sometimes we say the names of birds like Holy Crow or Mother Falcon in the place of swear words. Well, our writers came up with this idea for times when our characters might curse, but can't. After all, this is a family show. We can't say things like...
So that was done internally with our internal group. Really fun, very easy. Then we moved into the campaign for this past season. We developed something around the concept of truth having merits. He reveals truths and displaces commonly held misconceptions. So we felt that you should earn a badge. If you get something right, you earn a badge. We have something called the Boy Scouts at the Carpinieri, or it's like a boys group, and they give out these badges. I don't know if you guys have something similar. We love this concept because this idea, it's really easy to take it to different places, to big billboards, digital. We actually made them, stuck into backpacks. That's fun. I like it when we get to do things the hard way. I call it the hard way. So designing all these badges individually, not easy. Here's a spot from the campaign.
Order! This proceeding is now in session.
That there pilgrim said I was a Hollywood creation.
Is there football should ban tackling?
I told everyone I use fake fish.
You said that summer vacation was making me more dumber.
Did you say all of these things?
Yes, I did. Do you realize that you are ruining everything? Yeah, it's kind of my thing.
So that's one of the launch spots. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh, this is really fun. Okay. So we were thinking about how ruins can sometimes be tied to a specific location, and that kind of makes it special. We also like to make light of things and make fun of things. We have a big monument. It's called Mount Rushmore. You guys seen this and heard about it? So, a classic trip for an American family is a road trip across South Dakota to go see Mount Rushmore. It's in the middle of nowhere. It takes a really long time to get there. So we bought several billboards. I'll show you a few, just to ruin that experience. The first thing we wanted people to know as they're driving to their family vacation at Mount Rushmore is that it was built on stolen American land. That's definitely going to bring the energy in the car down. The next thing we told them was, or we asked them was, why was Roosevelt included? That's one of the presidents up there. He was just a friend of the sculptor. He was, they were buddies, so he's in there. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. Then only 18 miles, so we're getting closer. It's actually unfinished, but who cares? Then when you leave, thanks for visiting Mount Rushmore. It's only about 1/10 the size of the Washington Monument. It's not really that big. So that was really fun. These billboards don't cost very much. They're in the middle of nowhere. This was more about the press play, to get attention for the show. Probably, a few thousand people have seen it, but it's really fun to do. More contextual ruins. So other places where we can take a ruin and have fun, and that is in the toilet. Urine, on average, can travel 5 feet if there's no partition on either side of the urinal, and we put them right above urinals. Then we also did the urinal cake. Urine, on average, can travel 5 feet, if there's no partition, just to remind people. It's a health and safety thing. We did a bus. This is what our school buses typically look like. Do you guys do the same thing? Are your school buses yellow? So I wouldn't say all. Most of our school buses are yellow. So this is just a tourist bus that we then made look like a school bus with vinyl wrap. And just reminded everyone how dumb summer vacation makes people. It doesn't work. If you watch the show, you'll see why. And Adam is pretty incredible. He uses things like data and science, something our president doesn't know about. Okay, I'm gonna bust through this really quickly. We're working on a show right now with an amazing artist and comedian called Amy Sedaris. Her brand of comedy is very weird. We love that. So we worked very hard to understand her voice and to work to extend that. It's very particular, as you'll see. She's got a couple of books. Check them out. She was in a really great show called Strangers with Kennedy, and she's in a ton of stuff. You should check it out. Starting in on the campaign for this, we start everything with writing and concept development. We usually end up with some sort of sketch concept and some reference imagery. The idea is, her show is about being at home with her. It's cooking, hospitality, and crafts. Cooking, hospitality, and crafts. It's like Martha Stewart gone wrong, if you're familiar with Martha Stewart, like really gone wrong. This was another one, just cooking up some sausages at home, over the grill. We found some awesome reference. That's from a cookbook that Sophia Loren did, which is insane. I mean, if you know anything about Sophia Loren, she has this cookbook. It's very odd. She's got a lot of photography in there. That's funny. It's actually funny. So we said, well, why don't we just do the same thing? If it's good enough for Sophia Loren, then it's probably good enough for us. This is where we landed with 2 pieces of art that we mix up between different digital, social, print, and video components. I think I have a couple of spots here to show you 2 things. A trailer, a longer piece, and then a short piece. It's difficult to see, but this cake is made of meat. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hello, I'm Amy Sedaris, and welcome to my home. I'll show you tips on crafting. You take it off the paper, and you can use these later. This is a great way to get off makeup. Cooking, hope you're getting a good shot of this. We're really laying it on thick. And how to be your own terrific host. After every affair, record all your hits and misses of the evening in your party log. Spanikopada is a dish I can make blindfolded. It's simple to make a bath special. Stuff oatmeal into a knee-high stocking and cinching it off at the top. If you're feeling peckish, add brown sugar to taste and top it off with dried cranberries. Let's crack!
I'm struggling here because the fish dried out. Remember, Esther? We had to pull off the road so you could do a charcoal drawing about Felix Thistle?
How did you get the antlers to stick? Oh, I used glue. What kind of glue? There are so many different kinds of glue. Wait, just calm down. Don't get hysterical. Always arching. That's odd. My knocker must be broken.
Are you sure you want to get it?
I got it when you knocked.
So yeah, we made hip-hop with Froyo on it. That's fun. And I think I have one more really short one here. Yeah, we made a lot of things by hand. Her aesthetic, Amy's aesthetic, is very hands-on, very crafty. She's not very good, it's a little rough around the edges. That's what makes it special.
At Home with Amy Sedaris.
That's her style of humor. It's just awesome. Okay, so why am I here? Well, primarily because my friend Tim asked me to come and see what you guys are up to. We have a voracious need for content and partners and creativity. It's really important to our process. Like I said, we have two parts of our, two parts form the whole of what we do. There are ideas, and then there's the execution. So ideas can come from anywhere and be represented in lots of ways. On the execution side, sometimes things become animation, sometimes they become a stunt, an event, a billboard, a TV commercial. Really, we need help in all areas. So I'm excited to meet some of you in here on what your areas of expertise. What you should do next. Get familiar with the magic of the internets. You can watch a lot of our content there. In fact, I checked with the social media team, and I was really sad that we have no followers from Moldova. Yeah, unless someone has been maybe the first follower of one of our shows or one of the channels. Definitely go check it out. Get familiar with it. I think it's fun. It's funny stuff. It's entertaining. I think it would play to you guys as an audience, right? Comedy is somewhat universal. And then after you get familiar, get in touch through the tool that Tim and team set up, and let me know how you think we should work together. And we'll talk about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Gene. All right, do we have questions for Gene?
Oh, questions?
You weren't ready for that, right?
I'll roll with it.
I'll
Sure,
help
no problem.
you out. Yeah. Do we have questions? Please raise your hands if you have a question for Gene. All right, let's.
Give me a tough one.
Okay.
What's the usual content you're looking for?
What kind of content are we looking for? Things that are unexpected. to really sell TV shows, it's difficult to just come out with the same shit. So it needs, an image or a spot needs to have a hook, something that just grabs you, you know, so that's really the most important. And secondly, it's helpful if that thing also communicates something about the show. So, second most important thing to me. Some might argue with me on that. And then thirdly, where and when and how can I watch it? So really it's those three communication points that I'm most concerned with. But it's that emotional thing that, like, wow, you know, like I don't know what that is, but it's amazing and I need to learn more. That's what interests me. Is that, Dimitri?
Have you ever sold any European humor to America? Do you think it works?
That's a great question. I am lucky enough that I don't have to develop the content because I'm not funny. I don't think design is inherently funny. I mean, sometimes we do design jokes and, you know, I can show you a few examples of some ways that we try and do that in print. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Visual gags sometimes in print or still can just feel too heavy-handed, like you're trying really hard. And good comedy doesn't try hard, it's really natural. So I'm lucky enough that I just have to sell the stuff that comes in. I don't work on the development side. We have a team that's really good at knowing and understanding where the channel is going with the content. And they have, all day long, they're fielding pitches and considering things. One of our properties, Impractical Jokers, is in some European markets. It's four friends, they play practical jokes on each other, and it's really funny. That practical joke thing, I mean, that is, you don't really have to hear that much. It's you know, four friends, you kind of understand it. So I do know one thing that has come over here and done pretty well. I'm not sure with going the other way. I'm not familiar enough with the content.
Jim, how much of the work do you do in-house with your creative team, and how much do you
Sure.
do out-house?
Yeah, Tim asks, how much do we do with our team? And how much do we do with people like you? We have about 10 people internally, they're amazing. 10 people on the design and digital side, a few more producers and editors cutting the TV commercials. I would say that it's probably 50-50. And we like to work very flexibly. So we're good at some things, we're not good at some things, we know it. We see something we like that you're really good at, and then we want to make that with you. So we just look for all kinds of partners to help us in different ways. And internally also, you know, each of us is better at some things than others. I like to make things, I don't like to go to meetings.
Yeah.
But there are folks who are better at going to meetings. I want them to go to meetings so I can make stuff.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's a silly one, sorry. How do you know when something is funny? Why I'm asking because when you work, for instance, when you work on an ad and you've spent weeks on developing the script for the ad, you can get so caught up in the story and you can think that it's funny. But as you said, on the outside, it may look too forced. So
Right.
how do you know it's good or not?
It's hard. It's hard. I think that's not only in comedy, but in other places also. If you work on something over a period of time, you get to a place where you're like, even if it's a logo, you've been working on a logo for 2 months, and you can't tell anymore, is this good or not? So in some ways it gives you the freedom to not worry about that and just focus on what's right there in front of you, because it kind of doesn't matter at this point. I think it's maybe harder for the video and maybe harder for video promotions, TV commercials, trailers, things that we put up on digital and social. Digital and social is great because it's so fast, it's over in a second. So if it wasn't funny, no big deal, everyone forgets. So we use that as a little bit of a playground to try things out. It's pretty safe. If it's a big campaign like that first piece we watched, there's going to be a lot of people that look at it, and we just ask for a lot of opinions because what's funny to you might not be funny to someone else. And that first piece that I showed was funny to enough people that we thought, yeah, okay, this is fun.
It's probably funny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
That's
you.
a compliment. Yeah, for our next speaker, I'd like to confess the truth.
Yeah, go ahead, tell us the truth.
Yeah. Back in the 90s, and I'm probably one of the few in this room who was a teenager back in the 90s.
You were a teenager in the 90s?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
The only connection to the world for us was MTV. And you know, we would wait for the dance floor chart, for instance, that would run on Saturday to see it. Sometimes we'd use tape recorders to record it. We didn't have the iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever. So it was really the window to the world. And a part of that MTV phenomenon were those quirky films with the logo, or the random stuff that appears now and then on MTV. It was sometimes more interesting than the videos themselves. So I was always wondering who comes up with these crazy ideas when a logo transforms into something and then tells a story within 5 seconds. And I think you know someone who...
Yeah, not only do I know someone, but you know, one of the funny things that we get into when we're in design and the world we're in is that our parents don't know what we do. So Nika, our man Or, and her team, they're a creative studio in Brooklyn. They have taken on that challenge, not only in the MTV side, but also trying to find out the question, what do our parents think, or what do our parents know about what we do? So I'm not going to give away too much, but I want to invite Nika to come up here.
Let's welcome Nika Olsen. Thank you.
So how are you guys doing? Cool. So first off, thanks for having me. It's been so amazing to meet with everyone and hear about their studios, and it's been super inspiring. So I figured I would return the favor and tell you a little bit about ours.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I had this conversation with Eugene. I know my name is spelled wrong, but it's because it looks better without the H. So, just so you know.
I'd like you to notice this. If you look at the name, no, it's an interesting point. You can come back for a second, then put down again to see the name. When I saw the list of the speakers, I saw that Nika's name is without the H at the end. Yeah. And I studied a bit of German, so I said probably there is a mistake. There should be an H at the end. I added an H in an email, then I removed it because actually that was right. And asked Nika how come the name is like that. And Nika is the only person on earth that I know that modified her last name so that it looks better from the design point of view. And I think that deserves an applause, honestly.
And we like to say that we make clever things for screens of all sizes. We consider ourselves a creative studio, and most of what we do currently is in the TV and entertainment marketing. So we do a lot of show packaging, promos, interstitials, rebrands, work with a lot of networks. We also have a whole second side of our business where we focus on developing original content, which essentially means making what we want with other people's money, which is a little bit cool. So we do not work with Jerks for free or wake up like this, and actually we take this very seriously. So in terms of working with Jerks, I'm hoping to share some insight on how we've grown and may be competitive in America that's maybe helpful to you. If you have a bad client, fire your client, because there is a good one behind it. If someone does not respect you or understand your process, it's really okay as a studio to put your foot down and say, no, this isn't how we do it, if you can't solve a problem. We don't work for free, ever. ever. I will work for $1, I will work for 50 cents, a quarter, but it's called work for a reason. And I think when you really have that exchange, there's a level of respect. And it is transactional from both sides. And this is the glory of makeup. I do not work for books. So these are my two partners, and actually these are our cats. That is Destruction, Stereo, and Hondo. So a little of our history, I actually came up on the creative side as a director, so my background is film and live action, and then I went to business school about a year ago, and now I'm a producer. Kendra comes from the agency world as a copywriter, and our third partner, Kelly, comes up with branding. She comes up through the branding and motion design world. So I think one of the things that really sets us apart is we have this Voltron of perspective at the top. So when a project comes through, we want to do something, all three of us are looking at it from a different angle. We're about 10 people full-time, and we expand up to about 25. So one of the reasons I'm here, and it's super great to meet everyone, is because we never want to be too big to not do the work. So how we do larger projects is to collaborate with other studios. So, let's see what else. This is kind of how we present our process to our clients. We think about it, we develop it, and we make it. So basically what sets us apart is we always start at step 0, or we call it, which is how we do it. So everything we do starts with writing, it starts with concepts, and then we kind of move through the pipeline through there. One thing we've been pretty stringent about is if an agency or a client comes to us with an idea, we think before we execute it. Execution for us is just a function of creative. It's not what our studio is built on. So, yeah. So I know it's hard to explain what we do. We asked our moms, and we made a little video about what we do according to our moms.
I can hear you. Now I can't.
Hi. Hi.
Is this going to be edited?
You do rebranding, whatever that is. You edit videos.
You do animation.
A motion graphic designer. Hi, Angel.
Okay, well, when people at work ask me what you do, I say you're a motion graphic designer. And then I have to explain exactly what that is.
I always have to give an example. I go like, you know how when you watch John Oliver or Nickelodeon, there's all those like splashy things at the beginning?
My daughter puts that stuff together.
I could guess what you do all day at work, your eyes are inside of the internet.
Is that what you do? You get on your computer and you say you're going to make the graphic designs.
You're asking your mom about software. Come on.
You're putting things up and you bring them down, you put them up and you bring them down, you turn them this way, you go this way, you draw, you change the drawing, you add more drawing.
You make graphic images that tell a message, and people see it, or whoever watches it. Whoever watches it.
You see the people who watch it. Television viewers across the United States. My favorite thing you've ever made. You painted a picture of yourself. Remember that one?
I like the triptych of the bunnies in the bathroom. Artwork from high school. The heroin girl painting.
The CD that you compiled with all the music that I love. And I still play it.
You create things.
You make things fly around on screen.
You're creative.
Creative.
You're a creative genius.
Okay, I love you, hon.
I love you. You're my sweet baby, and I'm proud of you. Don't let the creepy guys hit on you.
point when True TV was rebranding, I think it was a year ago, we actually sort of pitched on it and then worked with them probably over the course of 6 months. How closer? Very loud. Over the course of 6 months to develop both the on-air brand and then across total 360, so trade, social, digital, and everything. One of the interesting things about this project from a design perspective is they're really a talent-first network. So we had to find a brand that was flexible but also hyper minimal and really kind of keep it within the tonality of their comedic voice. So super fun. We also work with Jim. He's actually a really good client. So I'm going to show you our sizzle reel from that project.
Let's go and wait and set up things to stand. Motherfuckers, what I want to say. Oh, no, none of it. Getting it that bitch that does it like that. That's it. That's it. Oh, that's it. Bitch, I get it done.
Great news, everybody. We can show Jewish butt.
Your mom told me she got you a poop sandwich. I don't want to taste the poop sandwich.
Nearly all wedding traditions are nothing but pointless and expensive displays of wealth.
Another project, we do a series called This Is a Generic Blank. Kendra writes for The New Yorker and McSweeney's. And a lot of what we really focus on is cultural comedy and satire. And I don't know if anyone saw that lovely Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial. Oh yeah, this is sort of our response to that. So we work with a stock company, Dissolve, and they just kind of give us access to their stock footage. So this is our recent This Is a Generic Millennial video, and it definitely sort of appeared across the internet.
You are unique. You are different. You are special. We definitely get that. We understand everything about you, especially the way you talk online, like totes, BRB, and join the conversation. You say that, right? The point is, you are free. Free from words with vowels in them. Free from the restraints of natural hair color. Your hair is totally pink. You dance all the time. On the street, in your room, and definitely with your eclectic group of friends. Wow, Ephraim plays the ukulele. That's unexpected, but that's just how millennials roll, according to our thought leaders. Also, you love peace. Love it. Which is why you keep having peace parties on the street, where you express yourselves with colorful signs and spontaneous displays of patriotism. We think our products are great for peace parties. Another thing about you is that you never sleep. You are up till dawn, but you're high on life, not drugs or anything like that. You are super happy with no drugs, no alcohol, and no ugly faces. That's what we like too, LOL. Here's an emoji that you've been known to use. See? We get it. You are also determined because you can't be held down. And you have just one night to make it happen. What is it? No, seriously, will you tell us so we can depict it in our ads? We know you care about causes. Us too. That's why we made our 100% plastic products 10% smaller that one time. And gender. Is it difficult for us to understand this one? We're just going to go ahead and pass and hope you don't notice. But we do hope you noticed we made our brand rainbow colored for Pride Week. What can we say? We're bold like that. Hashtag bold like that. Hashtag BLT. Can we do that? No? JK. Most of all, you guys are having fun. Fun with your phones. Fun with your apps. Can you remind us of the cool new app everyone is using again? We totes know, but we just wanted to see if you know. Wait, where are you going? Is this a BRB? Are you swiping left on us? No problem. We focus group the scenario, and we shall BRB as well.
So just a couple more and then I'll actually talk. In terms of MTV, we work with them quite a bit, and they reached out to us over the summer saying that and basically opened up their entire archives to us. They were like, we have all this cool footage from the early 90s to mid 2000s, and we want to find a way to make interstitials. Can you guys come up with something to do? And we were like, shh, we get to go through the MTV archives. And it was like raw footage, and I think Adam Sandler's demo tape. So we spent about 2 weeks having a lot of fun with that, and we came up with 2 slots. The first we call MTV K-Hole, and the second one is MTV Translator, so they're short. I'm just going to play them for you guys.
When it works for you, you'll do it.
You're not alone. The cameraman only go to your life.
I'm with people more. 10 people a day.
U2 is one of the hottest bands.
Exercise diet.
That's all I got for advice. So we're actually a relatively new studio. We've only been around for about 2.5 years. Kelly and Kendra founded the company, and I joined, I think, about 18 months later. And in the year and change that I've been there, we've grown from 4 people to 10. Home office, edit room, and I think I've been an entrepreneur my whole career. I started my first studio 6 months out of college. And there's been a lot of things I've done not so right. So I really thought about in the last year what we've done and why we've been successful. So I just wanted to share some of that and hope it's helpful. Know your voice. We are really conscious of who we are, and like we're funny. Generally, there's a tonality that comes through in everything we do. So one of the points of knowing your voice also means knowing what projects to take and have a perspective. Like you can't be everything to everyone. Don't try, and it's okay to take a job that's not right for you. So we actually have a spreadsheet that has about 10 questions, and if we don't know if we want to take a job, all 3 of us fill it out. And if something hits below 50%, we just don't do it. If we're between 65 and 85, we talk about it. If it's above 85, we do it. So craft your process, and this is really, really important. One of the things that I was super impressed with in talking to everyone here is you are all so conceptual and so strategic. Everybody said, oh, it starts with a brief. One of the things that we feel it's our responsibility as a studio to do is assess the brief. So we often start a conversation with the client on what we heard, because what we think they need may not be what they want. And at the end of the day, if they want what they ask for, that's totally fine, but it's our responsibility to kind of point that back to them. And crafting your process also means really building the culture of your studio, because you're only ever as good as your team. So I don't know how things work here, but it's really important to us to have human hours. We all sit down and eat lunch, like not at a computer. Take a day off. It's okay, I want you to be diligent. I want you to do things. We really focus on having leadership and not hierarchy. People come to my office and crash on the couch and just kind of hang out and work there. So your process really starts with the space that you build. so that people can actually do their best work. And as a studio, I feel it's my responsibility as a business owner to do that. Be an entrepreneur. Like, do not be afraid to make money. Do not be afraid of your finances. It does not make you less creative to value your own work, or to know what your books are, or to do financial projections. In fact, the only way you're actually going to be able to do the work you want to do is to know how to do the business to make the work. And I think I know for myself for a very long time, I didn't want to lean into that side of my brain. When people are like, oh, there's producers, they do magic things. No, it's all about figuring out how to get other people's money to do what you want. That's why we started this. Make great work. Like period, the end. There's only one certainty in life, and it's that essentially we're going to get sick and die. Everything is going to get sick and die. There is one certainty in work. Do the best you can all the time with the time and resources that you have, and always deliver. These are not questions, these are not options. Like, we are professionals, so we always start with that assumption. Everything in between is mutable to shape. And I think one of the things I learned from a computer programmer recently is that programs are only efficient based on how much time they take, and I think we never think about time as a solution to our problem, either sort of adding it or not asking for enough. You're like, oh, I don't have enough time. You're like, oh, you can make it. You can make time, make a schedule while you're client. Like, hey, can we adjust this? So that's really the root of it. And then shape the industry. I think one thing that is so exciting for me about coming to Moldova is this industry is actually very young, so you guys have a chance to really define how it's going to function. When we started the studio, we've all been working for a decade or plus or minus. And we sat down and we talked about amongst ourselves, what are the practices that we hate? Like, what is everything about the industry that we hate, and how do we not do that? 12-hour days? No, not that. Like, we don't save lives. Like, the difference between the end of the day and tomorrow morning is nothing. I have a rule with my producers. We don't send email after 8 p.m. unless it's a difference in time zone or it's that production emergency. Because I don't want to facilitate the fact that you can have access to us 24 hours a day. There's a process in the US among agencies, they triple bid. Do you guys know? So basically, if an ad agency has a project, they reach out to a production company. They say, hey, we have this project, can you make a budget, can you do a pitch? So they'll reach out to 3 companies and then take it back to their creative director. So you spend a week or 2 doing a budget, writing a proposal for no money, and then oftentimes they use that so that they can make their in-house services cheaper. So I don't do it. Like, I will get calls from ad agencies, and they'll say, hey, we want this thing. I said, is this a triple bid? And they say, yeah. I said, no. Like, what do you mean? I don't do this. You want to work with us, you want to work with us. So you can set the boundaries by really knowing who you are and what you want to do, and then sort of saying no. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Nika. Do we have questions for Nika?
Sure. Is this cool? Will it look good and real? Will we make money? Will it help our team grow? Do we want to do it? Is the client nice? Will the client look good and real?
I'm on the reel.
Yeah. Yeah. Good client.
Do we have more questions? I have a question. You must have had failures in your life.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can you tell us a bit, maybe about the most spectacular one?
Oh yeah, it was a lovely crash and burn. So, probably the biggest failure. So basically, I went in for MTV Story. I went in for an interview at MTV, and I used to be a DJ, so I used to tour and do a lot of club and tour visuals and very into dance music and hearing stuff. And they said, hey, we're looking for a producer that knows dance music. And I had worked with Skrillex on his 2012 tour, so I was like,
applause. Skrillex.
I was like, I know people in dance music, and I went in for the job interview, and I was like, shit, I could do this. And he's like, yeah, we want to make an EDM show. And I was like, EDM is a marketing term, it's not a genre. Like, dance music is something with a 30-year history. So I went back and I wrote a pitch, and 4 meetings later, I had an entire television series greenlit. And I was like, cool, now what do I do? So I built a production company around it. We ended up shooting in 5 cities around the world. I worked on it for 18 months, and Viacom actually ended up doing a big turnover, and they fired about 3,000 people. So after 18 months, 36 hours before we were going to do a host shoot, they recast the host, they canceled the series. So I had to go back to our office and fire my entire staff on the spot. And I laid in bed and cried and watched Law & Order for a week. And I called my friend and I was like, I'm still here in a week, come get me. But that's actually what sent me to business school, because it wasn't the idea that went wrong, it was the contract. So something that I had developed, they now owned. So I went and hired a lawyer to get my own stuff back from a major company and spend my own money to get the right to make my own book. So that was pretty terrible, but it was also amazing because I think as creatives we define ourselves by our work. Like that is how we see our inherent value. So I had to find a new way to really define who I am and what I do. So yeah, that was pretty special.
Applause, please. And just a quick question. Is Sonny cool or not?
Sonny is awesome, actually.
Sonny is the name of Skrillex, the artist.
Yeah, he's very, very down to earth. He remembers everyone he meets. He's exceptionally present and really brilliant.
Thank you, Nika.
Hello, I'm Rob. So my company is called Stimulated Inc. We're located in Los Angeles, California, and we've been here for a week with Moldova, so I decided to include Moldova in our logo for this presentation because it feels very natural. We call our brand of entertainment ultra-sensory experiences, and the reason for that is because it really plays to all the senses. It's extremely visual. Most of our work happens in conjunction with some kind of music. Our work is always emotional, and we always create a shared experience, and those are sort of the pillars of the work that we produce. And so what I'll do now is give you a 90-second sampling of that work, and then we'll go into the rest of the presentation. Joel mentioned, what we're really focused on is where we're going. Our background includes concerts, immersive entertainment. We've done projection mapping for big live award shows. I've been part of the directing team for feature films, a lot of broadcast events. Pretty much been a producer or creative director in some form on every major award show in the States, from the Oscars to all the award shows on MTV. We've done augmented reality on television, and recently we've been developing OTT, which is new television that skips over broadcast channels. And what makes us really different is that we not only understand all these disciplines, and we not only work in all these disciplines, but what we do that really separates us is we merge these different technologies together to create something new. And that's what we have fun doing, and that's what we love doing. And when we do that, when we take two ideas like a TV movie and a concert tour, and we merge them together, what that does is that stimulates change. And that's really what we're all about, is stimulating change in everything we do. Because when we stimulate change, what we do is we create new opportunities. And how we do it is by pushing. And it requires pushing hard. To stimulate that change and create new opportunities requires pushing hard. We push our clients to step out of their comfort zones, and we like to push industries forward into space. We always have our eye on the future, not on the present and not on the past. So here, what's an example of pushing an industry, or what's an example of pushing a brand? Back in the States, there's a TV show coming back onto the air next year called American Idol. It's on the ABC network. And I've been meeting with ABC on creative ideas for the reinvention of this show. Everything from ideas to integrate live real-time emotional feedback on the live show that's seen on the stage, so that the audience is actually a part of the show, to different ways of marketing the show. And we very much believe, and I've heard a lot of you guys tell me the same thing, we believe in personalization. The old way of feeding the entire audience one piece of content and expecting it to connect emotionally with everybody, that's over. That's done. And when it comes to a company like a big TV network, right? They don't necessarily have the ability to move forward as fast as they need to. So what I told ABC before I came here was, you've got an audience that loves country music, you've got an audience that loves hip hop, you've got an audience that loves rock, you've got an audience that loves R&B, right? Those are all customer segments. And they have to cater to each one of those customer segments to thrive. They have to build a base of country fans, they have to build a base of R&B fans, they have to build a base of rock fans, and they have to bring that base together into the TV show. And so they said, well, what do you mean? How do we do that? And I said, well, for example, when you go to create social media content, you can't just create one version of the content. You've got to create a version of that content for every customer segment. The country, the rock, the R&B. And they said, well, how are we going to do that? You know, we don't have resources for that. That's like, that's way more than we can take on with our edit rooms and our people and our budgets and what we have to work with. And I said, you know what, that's okay, because I have that. And this is where you guys come in. So we're 10 hours apart. We're a continent, an ocean, another half a continent apart, right? So how can we bridge that gap? How do we work together? And the answer is called Stimulated Works. And this is a work platform that connects Hollywood to the rest of the world. And I've been working this way for 4 years, and I can tell you guys that it works. It works well. So let me ask you, how many people here have worked with companies outside the country? Yeah. And how many people here have worked with companies in the US? Okay. Well, I work with artists and companies around the world every single day through this platform. And I can tell you guys that it works great. So, between now and Christmas, our target is to use Stimulated Works to invest $50,000 US into you guys. And what that means is that I've met a lot of great companies and people and artists here in the last couple of days, and I'm ready to put some of you guys to work next week. It's going to take a little bit of time. I fly home Thursday. I'll be back on the ground Friday, but by Monday, I want to be talking to some of you, and I want to sign you up here. And the kind of jobs we're talking about are 3D modeling, design, there's animation, some 3D scanning, film production, and some other work that could come up fast in the next few days. So if anybody has any of those skills or attributes and I haven't met you, I would love to meet you so that I can get your contact info and we can talk.
You might want to mention the app again, because that's where they can connect with you.
Thanks very much.
Directly.
Yeah, so connect with me through the RevThink app. Get the URL, I don't know what it is. revth.ink. Okay, sure. So like Joel said, we're very future focused, and we always have been. And we very much believe that we have to reinvent every 5 years. So our new 5-year manifesto is called Brand Building Entertainment. And what is that? Well, what it is a brand new medium. And why do we need brand building entertainment? Well, we need it because traditional advertising is in decline, but entertainment is exploding everywhere. You see it. You see it at Hulu. You see it on Netflix. You see it at concerts, video games. In Hollywood and in the States, sports leagues are the fastest growing sport in the States. So entertainment is everywhere. So what we've been doing is testing a theory that says brands, if we connect brands with entertainment, that they can make a connection with audiences in brand new ways, right? And the brands that we're talking to are curious about this. They're interested, and because it's new, and they want to explore opportunities. So we're going to be exploring a lot of new opportunities, merging brands, marketing, and entertainment. And I'm excited that I met so many people and companies today here that are so passionate about branding, because we're passionate about entertainment, and when we merge our resources, we're going to create a force. And what this is going to require is a lot of strong creative partners, and I didn't know what to expect when we came here, but I'm so pumped right now that we've met so many great people and companies to go back and connect and work with, and this gives me so much confidence in what we're trying to do, because I know that when we put our resources together, we're going to do something that has never been done before, and we're going to cause a lot of disruption. So I see this as an opportunity for Moldova and for us, people that came here to meet with you. And I believe this is only just the beginning. Because the other night when I went to your soccer match, for 90 minutes, this is what I heard. So thank you.
Amazing presentation, thank you. Do we have questions for Rob? I have a question. I've seen in the list of the works that you have done, you've done something for Michael Jackson as well. Can you tell us a bit more about that experience?
Yes. In 2009, I was working with a director named Kenny Ortega, and I had worked with him before on a project for Disney called High School Musical: The Concert Tour. Kenny called me and said, "You have to come to a meeting today." It was 11 a.m. I went up the street to a place called Center Staging in Burbank, California. I was rushed into a room, off to the side, didn't know what was happening. Shadowy figures ran by me this way. I couldn't quite see them, and I was brought into a big, dark room with a small table in the middle, 4 people at the table. Kenny Ortega, choreographer named Travis Payne, and a shadowy figure named Michael Jackson that was dressed in a veil at the time, and I could only see his eyes. And I didn't know what I was doing there, but I kind of did know what I was doing there, because I knew that he was planning his comeback tour, but I didn't know I was part of it. So Kenny told me that Michael was planning his comeback tour and that he wanted to create a music video experience that was greater than his entire career of music videos. And for the next 12 hours I sat face to face with Michael and Kenny, and Michael told me his entire vision for that tour, note by note, standing up, singing the hooks, dancing the moves, describing it all in such great detail that when I left the meeting, I knew exactly what we were going to do.
Wow, thank you. Rob, I'd like to personally thank you for putting the Moldova Tree of Life logo on your presentation, for taking the effort. It's so nice, thank you.
It feels natural.
Yeah, you deserve more applause for that. Thank you. I think that we can move to the next section of today, which is a panel, right? So we'll take a few moments to get the chairs out. So this is that awkward moment when I will ask again, do we have questions? And there will be silence in the room. Guys, give some questions. All right, I have a question.
I have a question too. You go first.
For you guys, it's been the first time here in Moldova, wasn't it? I know Tim was here and Joey was here too. How did you like it? So far.
Oh, for me? Oh, I'm going? Я говорю чуть-чуть по-русски. Не секрет. Yeah, I lived in St. Petersburg for a little while, about 25 years ago. I have a soft spot for borscht and pelmeni and terrible Soviet architecture. So it's a pretty good place. Yeah.
Thank you.
You have some first impressions?
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm only here because I knew where it was. Basically, Tim and I were talking back in June, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Moldova." I was like, "Dude, that's awesome. I've always wanted to go there." And he was like, "I know where it is." So I was like, "Yes." So yeah, it's been super fun. Visiting here has been on my list randomly for a while. So. You guys had a really good black market for a while. I'm always fascinated. How do I say this? I like to travel to places that people don't go. So yeah.
We are actually the #1 off the beaten path destination in Europe, so it's exactly the right spot.
Hence how you got on my list.
Yeah, this is our new club coming next year. We're excited for this in LA, so look for that. So yeah, my first impressions, I didn't know what to expect, but I've been blown away every minute. For me, what it is your spirit as a people. It really cuts through. We've met companies, and we've visited companies, and you've seen amazing work, but what really cuts through for me is that you guys are young, and you're creative, and you're hungry, and you're hardworking, and the other thing that I've noticed is things that we tend to make difficult in the States, you guys make sound easy. And that's an amazing attribute, and your work ethic is something that's difficult for us to find in the States. Your hunger is something that's difficult for us to find, and your talent is something that's difficult for us to find. So to come to one place and find so much talent and passion and spirit and readiness inspires me. And so what we're going to do is go back to the States and try to find opportunities to work with you.
Thank you. As most of us are planning to turn this experience into projects, could you please tell us the 3 things that are an absolute no-go in working with you? What are the 3 things in work experience with partners that are really to be avoided?
One of the challenges I have working with companies around the world in a connected way is I don't know who's doing the work. And I think the big thing for me is if we do work with you guys either as a company or as an independent artist, we need full transparency on how you're going to function. I don't want to think I'm working with Mikhail and find out he's farming the stuff out somewhere else. I've gotten burned by that in the past. It's okay to say, hey Rob, we're sort of busting at the seams. I'm going to have to farm this out. I'm fine with that. I just need to understand the terms because for me, I need to protect my project, and maybe in the back of my head I'll say, okay, if this fails, I've got a backup plan. So I just need to know, we're in different time zones, we're working in a connected way, we're relying on this kind of blind communication, and when it works beautifully, it works beautifully. But full transparency.
I have to say too that when you're doing a project, you have it in your mind. Just like all of you when you do a project, you have it in your mind. So if we don't have something in our mind and reality is different, really we can't anticipate things. But if you tell us what's going on, it's totally okay because we do the same as you. We just need to register it and plan on it and build it. So I totally agree with that.
I just thought I would share 4 quick, very simple thoughts that I learned, I think, maybe 20 or so years ago that made a huge difference in when I ran a studio for, 2 decades. And then the 4 things were, it's not about the work necessarily. It's show up on time, do what you say you're going to do, finish what you start, and say please and thank you. If you do those 4 things, you will be successful and people will refer you. You have to work with Olga. She does these 4 things. She's wonderful. That's my encouragement.
You guys want to add anything to that? Maybe?
Yeah, I would flip it on its head and instead of being a downer and say the things not to. I like, to think important. Sorry, I never did that. To be fearless is really important. Once fear creeps in, it's impossible to do anything well in creativity. So. That also requires being vulnerable and open to making mistakes, which is fine because, we all do it. And, sometimes we conflate personal relationships and work. So a project fails, you suck. Well, that's not you, that's just a thing. Yeah. I'm picking on someone over here. Sorry. Lydia, you failed. I hate you. No, so, those of us who have been doing this for a long time, just are trying to be there to support each other. So we get really competitive and we all make mistakes. So, be helpful and supportive and fearless. Yeah.
I think for us, our model is really collaborative. And there are amazing artists. You're like, I need to sit at my computer alone and do my thing. that is awesome. Totally just not how we work. There's not a lot of ego in our studio at all. So everything that we do is in service of the best work. So really having open communication and questions and passing files around, like, it's just, so I think for us, like, really being a person whose process is collaborative is important.
Great.
So we'll make the logo bigger.
You know, sorry to say that, but here in Moldova, we think that you have long forgotten about this problem in the US. We think that only the local clients ask to make the logo.
Yeah, everybody does, right? It's like a universal client thing. And I'm not a client. I wasn't always a client, but now I'm like, oh shit, here it comes. The boss says make the logo bigger. Nika and I were working together on something, and I'm like, guys, we have a problem together. Ladies, we have a problem together. We have to convince why we cannot make the logo bigger. We know it. It's intuition. It's like, no. But sometimes it's important to be able to use words and data to support what a theory is. So do you want to talk about what we did?
Well, I'll step back up. So basically, we made, I think it was a 48-page PDF of all of the competitor stations and all of the logos that are on broadcast networks, and eyeballed the percentage and size, and we ranked networks from not premium to very premium, and showed sort of where the true logo fell within that, and showed where it would fall should we not make it bigger. And I think this was a real like learning point for us as a studio, because Jim was like, guys, I'm on your side. Like, Jim got design. And we realized that it was more important to present the logic of why something needed to happen, and not just sort of rely on our own intuition. So I think we've really kind of embraced that practice moving forward, because I realized, like, design is a foreign language, and not everyone speaks it, and we just can't assume that literacy. So it's not your fault if you want it bigger, you just don't know.
So the more premium, the smaller the logo, so it's going on?
Yeah.
So HBO's is like barely even.
And yes, we won.
The presentation took like 30 seconds, and in the end, my boss was like, yeah, cool.